India reiterated its position of peace, diplomacy and dialogue to resolve all forms of conflicts around the world at the recently held Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO summit held in Uzbekistan's Samarkand. The global media praised the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for persuading Russian President Putin into conceding his willingness to stop the war. India's rising prominence, owing to its growing diplomatic deft and economic stature, is certainly pushing the world into believing that there is an alternate recourse of peace available to move forward in geopolitics.
As global financial bodies and independent analysts predict tough economic times ahead, India, the world's fifth largest economy, is determined to prevent such a scenario. At the recently held Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) summit in Samarkand, India pushed for peace and dialogue to resolve differences between the member countries. India reiterated its position of dialogue and diplomacy on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has maintained that countries must disengage from all forms of acts that have the potential of disrupting the global supply chain, which would disrupt economies and the lives of individuals across the world.
आज का युग युद्ध का है नहीं और हमने फोन पर भी कई बार आपसे इस विषय में बात की है कि डेमोक्रेसी और डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं कि जो दुनिया को एक स्पर्श करती है। आने वाले दिनों में शांति के रास्ते पर हम कैसे बढ़ सके।
The pandemic took a heavy toll on lives across the world, and the global economy too went into an unprecedented downward spiral. The global GDP fell by 3.4% in 2020, which is equivalent to a loss of around 2 trillion USD. Although it recovered from the economic shocks in the subsequent quarters, individual countries, especially those at the lowest rung, have failed to restore pre-pandemic momentum even today. A large majority of countries have been unable to bounce back from the pandemic and its economic aftermath. Experts opine that there is no recourse other than countries working cohesively to bring the most affected countries back in the mainstream. Experts also say that rising conflicts of all nature, whether they are military, like Russia-Ukraine, political, like in the South China Sea, or a trade war, like the one between the US and China, will push people world over towards economic hardships. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has hampered economic recovery, and the global supply chain is facing challenges like never before. Some believe a protracted war has the potential to severely damage the global economy, worse than the pandemic. A divided world is only fueling the fire.
The major impact which this war has had is on the prices of energy resources, both oil and gas. And generally it is Western Europe which is feeling the maximum pressure out of that.
With so much uncertainty in the world, it is of paramount importance that the global community unites and combines their efforts to achieve common objectives. It is incumbent on global bodies and non-aligned countries to play a crucial role in bringing major players to the negotiation table. India has been able to gain the trust of countries world over. Whether it be Russia, European countries, or the USA, no country has objected to India's neutral and pro-peace stance towards the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Headlines across the world applauded Prime Minister Modi for rebuking the conflict and for pushing for peace between the two nations. Although it remains to be seen how things change from here, Brand India's dialogue and diplomacy approach is at work and is clearly bringing results for the global good.